Inter Miami wasn't just a bottom-of-the-table team. It was a franchise that was falling apart. Last in the league, zero identity, zero trophies, a club nobody took seriously. And then the greatest footballer of all time landed in Miami, and everything changed overnight. The franchise that was spiraling suddenly became champions, a global brand valued at over $1 billion, and now one of the most feared teams in MLS. How did a team that couldn't even fill its own stadium end up becoming the sport's newest powerhouse? This is how Lionel Messi transformed Inter Miami and changed soccer in America forever. When Inter Miami first appeared, expectations were through the roof. After all, it was a club owned by global icon David Beckham, with flashy pink and black kits and the promise of bringing top-level soccer to South Florida. It sounded like a glamorous project, one that could quickly become relevant in the American soccer landscape. But the reality of those early years revealed a very different truth. A team struggling to find identity, consistency, and real success. Inter Miami was officially founded in 2018, but the club didn't debut in the league until the 2020 season. That long wait only increased the anticipation. Fans and analysts expected a strong start, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Their debut season coincided with the global disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected stadium attendance, match scheduling, and the overall momentum of many sports leagues, including Major League Soccer. When the whistle finally blew on Inter Miami's first official campaign in 2020, the club's performance was disappointing. They finished the season well below expectations, failing to establish themselves, few wins, an unstable defense, and no real leadership or identity forming on the field. Off the field, support was also minimal. Attendance during the inaugural season was extremely low by professional standards, a reality, shaped by both pandemic restrictions and limited fan engagement in those early, uncertain years. The club's early years were marked by half-empty stands, which dimmed any sense of a vibrant, growing franchise. In many ways, Inter Miami in 2020 looked more like an expansion experiment than a serious bid to become a storied club. The following year, 2021, brought hope for improvement, but that hope cooled quickly as more problems surfaced. Ahead of the season, the club reshuffled leadership and hired a new head coach, Phil Neville. But that shakeup didn't deliver the leap fans were hoping for. Instead, 2021 turned into a brutal campaign. Inter Miami finished 11th in the Eastern Conference and 20th overall in the league. Their record was poor, 12 wins, 17 losses, and 5 draws, for a total of just 41 points. The consistency that defines successful teams simply wasn't there. At home and away, results swung unpredictably. The team struggled both to score and to keep clean sheets, exposing defensive fragility and a brittle attack. Their offense averaged only about 1.03 goals per game, and shots on target per match were unimpressive too. Around that time, several things converged: rising fan frustration, media criticism, and internal instability. For a lot of people, the club became defined by unmet expectations rather than progress. For critics, Inter Miami looked like a franchise unable to overcome the typical pitfalls of expansion teams, chasing hype and celebrity, but lacking sporting substance. Even the team's star forward, Gonzalo Higuain, was booed by fans after poor performances. In a 2021 season review, one outlet highlighted the contrast. Instead of finishing in a top 4 spot as leadership intended, the team went on losing streaks that had them floundering near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. By the end of 2021, Inter Miami was barely hanging on, a team with more glamour than grit, more hope than results. In 2022, there were small signs of improvement, glimpses, not breakthroughs. Inter Miami finished 6th in the Eastern Conference and 12th overall, which was enough to qualify for the playoffs. Their record improved slightly, and they made the postseason. But even then, progress was uneven. They were eliminated in the first round with a 3-0 road loss to New York City FC. Their offensive output did rise. Gonzalo Higuain finished as the club's top scorer with 16 goals. Yet, for all his individual success, that production didn't translate into defensive stability or sustained success. Goals conceded stayed high. Defensive issues continued to haunt the team. Inconsistency remained the club's defining trait. Flashes of quality overshadowed by frequent lapses and an inability to string together a dominant season. Meanwhile, off the field, the club's identity still felt unsettled. Their home was the modest DRV-PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, a small temporary venue with limited capacity, originally built to house Inter Miami while their planned permanent stadium was still in development. Despite incremental growth, attendance remained low compared to big clubs. In 2022, they were reportedly among the worst in MLS for average attendance. The dream of building a vibrant global-level club remained just that, a dream. The gap between ambition and results grew more obvious. On one hand, they had famous owners, a high-profile brand, and hopes of capturing South Florida's vibrant multi-million-dollar market. On the other, their on-field performance, attendance numbers, and lack of trophies made them a quiet afterthought in MLS conversations. To many observers, Inter Miami became the symbol of flashy aesthetics, big names, and empty stands. Before Messi, Inter Miami had never won a major trophy, never established itself as a consistent contender, and never earned respect as a serious force in MLS. Over their first 3 seasons, they averaged a 36% win rate and failed to build sustained momentum. For fans of traditional soccer powerhouses, it was hard to see Inter Miami as more than an ambitious project, a franchise with unfulfilled potential. There was also frustration among supporters. One fan wrote bluntly on Reddit that Inter Miami had among the lowest attendance in the league. Another commented that if there isn't a superstar or a winning team, they don't care. Those kinds of remarks circulated often. Another fan wrote, "Terrible season. The players weren't even good enough." That sentiment captured the mood around the club in those early years. High profile on paper, but disappointing on the pitch, leading many fans and critics to call it a failure. But then came 2023 and the signing that shook the soccer world. Lionel Messi, fresh off winning the World Cup, turned down a $1 billion offer from Saudi Arabia and chose to leave Europe behind to join Major League Soccer. That's where the fairy tale began. The moment his move to Inter Miami was announced, it didn't feel like a normal transfer. It felt like a seismic event that remade the club overnight. Because within hours, Inter Miami's social and commercial footprint exploded. The team's Instagram account jumped from roughly 1 million followers to more than 7 million in a single day, surpassing every NFL, MLB, NHL, and MLS team. A raw illustration of what everyone quickly started calling the Messi effect. The economic ripples were immediate. Merchandise sales surged. Miami jerseys became the top-selling item across sports in general after the announcement, and league data later showed Messi's number 10 Inter Miami shirt became the most popular Adidas soccer jersey during that period. Analysts and league executives pointed to dramatic increases in ticket demand, streaming interest, sponsorship inquiries, and a significant uptick in projected revenue for the club that calendar year, signaling that Messi had already begun changing Miami's financial fortunes. Before he even kicked a ball for them. Before Messi arrived, Miami was drowning in an 11-game winless run. But everything changed the moment he stepped onto the pitch for his debut on July 21, 2023, in a Leagues Cup match against Cruz Azul. Coming on as a substitute, he won a foul in stoppage time, and then delivered a Hollywood script. Messi stepped up and curled a gorgeous free kick into the top corner to win it, 2-1. One dead ball moment that instantly announced his arrival in MLS. That debut was the catalytic moment that transformed the mood inside the club and among supporters. After years of underwhelming results and low attendance, Inter Miami suddenly had momentum and a global audience watching every match, and the team rode that wave. On the pitch, the transformation was immediate. In competitive matches featuring Messi during 2023, Inter Miami went unbeaten in regulation, winning 11 of 12 games, a run that included the unforgettable Leagues Cup campaign. That tournament delivered the club's first trophy, capped by a dramatic 1-1 final against Nashville SC that Miami won 10-9 on penalties. Messi scored in regulation and calmly buried his penalty in the shootout, sealing a historic moment for the club. Statistically, Messi's impact was impossible to ignore. Comparisons of Inter Miami's results with and without him in 2023 showed a night-and-day difference. With Messi on the field, Miami averaged nearly 3 goals per game and conceded only about 1, a massive leap from the low-scoring, last-place form that had defined their season before he arrived. And the transformation didn't stop with that first trophy run. Messi's presence kept reshaping Inter Miami season after season. By 2024, the club had gone from an inconsistent expansion side to the most dominant regular season team in MLS history, finishing top of the league, breaking the regular season points record, and lifting the supporters' shield. His creativity, his goals, and his leadership raised every metric. Win percentage, goals per game, and results all surged compared to the pre-Messi years. Individually, Messi kept defying time. Even as he moved deeper into his late 30s, he continued producing elite numbers, scoring and creating at a rate that made him the heartbeat of Miami's attack. In just 88 games for Inter Miami, Messi racked up 77 goals and 44 assists, an absurd output. By 2025, he had already become the club's all-time leader in goal contributions, putting up the kind of season that earned him both the MLS Golden Boot and MVP. At 38 years old, that on-field renaissance spilled directly into the business side of the club. Forbes reported huge jumps in Inter Miami's valuation, revenue, and sponsorship deals after Messi arrived, pushing them into the ranks of the most valuable franchises in MLS, with a major portion of that rise attributed directly to the Messi effect. Global brands lined up for partnerships, ticket sales skyrocketed, and even the league itself benefited. Apple TV subscriptions and worldwide broadcast interest spiked during Messi-led fixtures, feeding straight back into Inter Miami's growing commercial power. The numbers make it clear. Before Messi, Miami's seasons were filled with low win percentages, negative goal differential, and modest crowds. After Messi, the club posted double-digit increases in wins, massively improved scoring, and packed stadiums. The trophies completed the narrative arc. The 2023 Leagues Cup, the club's first piece of silverware, sent Miami into continental competition. The following season brought the Supporters' Shield and a historic points record. And by the end of 2025, Messi had led the team to MLS Cup glory, turning a once-struggling side into serial winners in just 2 years. The sporting rise and commercial explosion transformed Inter Miami from an uncertain expansion project into a global soccer brand valued at over $1 billion, with international sponsors and a worldwide fan base that eclipses much older MLS clubs. Miami became a true soccer hub, attracting stars, media, and investment that previously felt unimaginable. Call it the Messi effect, or simply the influence of the greatest to ever play the game. Whatever label you choose, the result is undeniable. Messi came to Inter Miami and rewrote the club's destiny, proving once again that wherever he goes, he elevates the game, defies expectations, and continues, even at 38, to build the legacy that defines him as soccer's greatest of all time.